Welcome back to GB's Card Show. In this episode, we're going to talk about some of my favorite cards of the 1980s. These coming in no particular order, but just hitting some of those that are my favorite cards in the 80s, the decade I grew up in. And this is maybe the best introduction before I start going through all the cards in my collection. First up, got Kirby Puckett, 1985 Topps, number 536. There's a good example in a PSA 9, an SGC 8, and an SGC 8.5. Really good looking card. Of course, no 80s would be complete without Bo Jackson. And this is not just one card, but the football, baseball cards there in the late 80s always captured my attention. This one in particular, the 87 Classic rookie, Bo Jackson, number 15, in the Auburn uniform, with the Auburn hat, and the ever so apparent green Easton bat in his hand. And of course, then there's the 1990 score and 89 score football, baseball cards. That's actually the only football card in the set, but technically it's football and baseball. Love him or hate him, Barry Bonds. I love him. I think he's just one of the best hitters I've ever seen. And of course, I wasn't fortunate enough to see him in person, but definitely one of the best swings in baseball. Guy really had a lot of tools on the field, especially early in his career. The speed, the fielding, the bat, everything. Good looking example of the 86 Topps traded Barry Bonds. This is, of course, not the Tiffany. Another controversial player here, but certainly Canseco was a part of kind of the era, the steroid era, and was just like watching some kind of superhero on the field. The guy was huge and hit the ball a mile. There's a 9, 2 PSA 9s, SGC 8.5. Really looks good. That card does with the blue and the black tuxedo slab. And then there's a 86 Donruss number 39 Jose Canseco in the CSG slab. Best player in the decade, of course, I argue Murphy, but the numbers show Schmidt. Coming to terms with this as an adult, but at the same time, Mike Schmidt, tremendous third baseman, tremendous baseball player. Just love this card, 1980 card. You got the All-Star information there on the front, and love the hairdo, love the mustache. Awesome card, 1980 Topps Mike Schmidt, number 70. Donnie Baseball. Mattingly really made the whole thing start to be about, hey, I'm keeping all my cards and they're going to be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Each one of them will be. This Don Mattingly Donruss card, of course, was not necessarily the highlight in the 80s, but it's the one I think everyone kind of turned the page to from the 1984 Topps, and this is certainly the one that carries more value nowadays than the 84 Topps base. Really awesome card. I've had the 84 Topps and the 84 Fleer PSA 10s. I've never had this card that graded that high, but really cool card. Another one of my favorite players of the 80s, Tony Gwynn, the late Tony Gwynn. Love his Topps card. There's something about seeing a card where the guy's wearing a different number than what you know his number to be, and you got this number in the 50s sitting on his back in this card. It's really kind of cool, I think. So there's a PSA 8, an SGC 8, a CSG 7, and I also like the 85 Fleer. think it's, or excuse me, the 83 Fleer rookie, also a good looking card. There's a good example with a CSG9 in it. And then the 8.5 SGC. Okay, so you can't avoid 1980s cards without talking about the one that gets submitted for grading the most. The 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie, number 1 in the set. I've got several of those. I've had a 9, sold it to my buddy. I'm sure he'll never get rid of it. I've never done better than a 9 on it. And it's a tough grade for sure. And broke it from sets. It's sitting there at the very front of the box, and so you oftentimes have a lot of surface issues with it when you break it from a set. And I can be all over the place when I grade this card for sure. And then I'm going to finish up with someone that's arguably kind of the underappreciated guy. I mean, he was just an absolute stud on the field. Another 1980s Topps card, the rookie of Rickey Henderson. And so that's number 482 in the 1980 Topps set. There's an example with the auto on it. Henderson's got a great looking auto. Really like this card. The couple times I think I've ever set up a showcase at a card show to try and sell a card, so it's only been a couple times. I put this in there and everybody asked about it. And of course I put some price on it that I don't want to sell it, but it's really kind of a neat card. Really tough card to get a great grade on, and of course you start hitting those higher grades, you've got a small fortune in your hand. Looks good in the slab with SGC like most cards, but really kind of jumps out at you there. And that's some of the highlights of my favorite cards of the 1980s, and hope you'll tune back in next time. Click like and subscribe to my page, and there are more videos to come down the road. Couldn't get away without doing some kind of Dale Murphy card in this, and had already gone through my 89 reverse negative Dale Murphys. Those are the Nike promo poster cards. I've got these posters also hanging up in my house from the 80s in frames, but these are really neat. The Power Alley especially is very iconic.